G'day folks, Ben from Science today showing you how to set up and pack away air beds and air mattresses with the Zempire Monstapump.
Hit it.
This handy pump's ideal for pumping up self-inflating mats and air beds. Has a flow rate of 450 litres per minute, pumps up to 0.7 psi and is easily rechargeable via USB-C. Before we dive in, we've got loads more content like this on our channel, so make sure you like and subscribe below. Now let's jump into the product. When you buy your Monstapump, this is what's included. It comes in a semi-hard case here with sort of organisers inside, so you keep it all secure. You can add a little bit of extra in there, there's a bit of extra space as well, but you get instruction manual, you get USB-C charging cable, you get all these adapters here, which allow for pumping up of various mats. Most relevant is this adapter here, which works for this type of valve, which you find on Zempire's Monstamats, but also a lot of other camp mats. Yeah, this one here, which is sort of for inflatable pool toys and that sort of thing. The standard Boston valve fitment here, and this sort of silicon attachment here, which goes into the end of the Boston valve attachment. And this is sort of versatile, I suppose, for various valves. So this is a thermarest valve here, external valve. You can fit that over the top, it just stretches over it. Doesn't ideally work for this type of valve here. You can sort of hold that against it though, so you could still use the pump in this instance here just by holding this valve, the silicon attachment against that. It doesn't quite stretch, not easily, over the top of that anyway. You can force it a little bit to get over there, but it doesn't fit easily. So more for larger camp mats with larger Boston valves like this type of thing, or air beds and pool toys, but you can adapt it to other mats as well. Now, I need this valve here today. I've actually got another one here. It's the same thing. It actually comes with this mat. So I'm just going to use this one today so that I don't have these things hanging off the side. But when you're not using these, all of these sort of stack together, we can fit them like this together. This goes in the end here. So it sits together in a nice neat little package to pack away in the container there. So what we need today, I'm going to throw these mats aside, and I'm going to pump up this double monster bed here. Now this is basically an air bed attached to a self-inflating mat here. So I'm going to first pump up the air bed on the bottom here. Now there's 4 valves for this mat here, so we need to do up one side, because otherwise the air is just going to be escaping. So I'll do up this one here, and I'll do up the top section as well. So what we're going to time today is how long this takes to first pump up this large airbed section underneath here, and then how long it'll take to make this top section here, which is self-inflating, expanded as far as it will go by itself, but we'll time how long it takes to make that nice and firm as well. So to pump up this bottom section, what I first need to do is screw this into the valve. Make sure that this valve is in inflate mode, not deflate, so the air can go in and not out. I'll screw this in. The pump fits inside here, and we can then turn it on. Before we turn it on though, we need to remove the little cap on the bottom here. So there's a button underneath here. This is a protective shell so that it can't accidentally turn on in transport. Remove this, put that in the container so you don't, or your little carry package so you don't lose it, and this is the on-off button here. So I'll attach this on here, turn it on. I'm going to grab my phone, put a stopwatch on, and we'll time how long it takes for this to inflate this mattress. Okay, so that took, well, it stopped a little bit late, but just about 2 minutes and 5 seconds, or about 2 minutes to pump up this bottom section of the bed here. So that's about a 32 centimeter air bed there. Double, it's a twin air bed, and that was 2 minutes worth of pump time, and that's nice and firm there at the moment. We'll do the top section now. So we've got the self-inflating section. Once again, I'll make sure that valve is on the inflate mode. We won't need much air in this guy here because it's mostly inflated by itself. I'll turn this on and probably only need about 30 seconds to a minute. Okay, so that took barely just over 10 seconds to inflate this top section to actually much firmer than I would need it, so I can actually adjust the pressure in this down now. So that was less than 3 minutes of pump time for a large double camp bed with the Zempire Monstapump. I should go into some details of the pump itself. So it pumps at 450 litres of air per minute, up to about 0.7 psi. So if you need a mat that pumps up a little bit firmer, this is a great option here. It does both inflate on this side and deflate as well, which we'll show you shortly. Charges on the side here via USB-C, gives you about 15 minutes of charge time, you need about 4 hours of charge. And it's important to note that the battery requires about 3 charge-discharge cycles before you're getting the most out of it. So the first time you use it, you might find the battery doesn't last as long. Charge it up, flatten it, charge it up, flatten it, do that a few times, and then you'll get the most life out of it. Now it weighs about 560 grams. Measures about 10 centimeters by sort of 10 centimeters. It's a triangle, but it's roughly 10 to 11 centimeters in diameter. So it's sort of the same dimensions all the way around. And the battery inside is a 3.7 volt, 2000 milliamp hour lithium ion battery. So, and as I said, 15 minutes of continuous runtime, 4 hours of charge. So if you can think about, pump this up in 2 to 3 minutes, you're gonna be able to do this about 5 times before you need to charge this up again. Now I'm going to show you how you can use this for deflate as well, which is most prevalent for a self-inflating mat like this because you need to actually squeeze the air out yourself, but if you can use a pump to suck the air out, it makes it even quicker. What I'm going to do first though is undo the valves on the bottom here. So I've opened both of these to let a bit of air out. Important to note, when we use this to deflate, we need to shut one of these valves. This is a double mat, so I've let some air out. I'm just going to shut this one off now because otherwise we're going to be sucking air out one valve and in the other. So I'll leave this one closed. Want to make sure that this valve, this type of valve, this needs to be on deflate. So the yellow circle pointing upwards. I'm going to screw our little adapter in here. And I'm going to attach the pump on the deflate side, which is this section here, to the valve here. Just pushes in place. The valve goes inside. It's quite a firm fit. Once that's there, we can turn this on. It's going to blow the air out through here, so you might want to have a think about which way this is facing so the air does escape. There's no point in having that flat against the floor like I had it just then. Make sure it's sticking upwards so the air can escape. Turn it on and let it do the work while you go about other jobs in the campsite. That's pretty much done there now. You can tell when it's sucked most of the air out because the pump starts to make a slightly higher pitched sound. But that's sucked all the air out of the base, so I'm going to do this up. If I hold this up, you can see that's flat against the top mat there now. So that's pulled all the air out of that, probably roughly a little bit less time than to inflate. We'll do the same with the top, and this is where it's going to have to work a little bit harder because it's actually sucking the air out of a mat that's got some foam that's trying to suck air back in. So once again, turn this to deflate, screw the valve in, attach the pump, turn it on, and let it do its work. I'm going to stop it there. It can probably still suck a bit more air out still if I wanted, but that feels pretty flat to me now. Most of the air is out of that. That foam is quite firm. So if I now was to roll this mat up, easy to fold in half. If you have a look at our video on this Monstabed that we did previously, I rolled this up without using a pump. You can see this is flat there now. I barely have to squeeze any air out at all. If I now roll this up, there might be a little bit of air left at the end. I could use the pump to squeeze the last bit out if I wanted, but this is actually going to be quite small. So you can see that's all the air that's left. The pump's done the rest of it for us. If I undo these valves here now, we can squeeze the last of the air out. If I wanted, I could attach the pump, suck the rest out of here now. Probably would be quicker just to squeeze it out myself, but for the sake of showing you how well the pump works, we'll do this here now. That's the mat rolled up. Minimal effort. I didn't have to put my muscle into squeezing all of that air out. The pump did all the work for me. Really great way to use as a deflation aid. If I wanted, I could attach that and start rolling it up while it's sucking the air out if I wanted. And it's just going to make it a little bit easier, particularly if you're in a hot tent on a warm morning, trying to roll your mat up, getting sweaty, squeezing the air out. Make the pump do the work for you. That is the Zempire Monstapump, a great little addition to your campsite. High airflow, pumps up air mattresses really quickly, hangs in the valve, does the work for you while you go about other jobs at the campsite. Check out the Zempire Monstapump online at snowies.com.au.